Hey guys, it's Madison, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my language goals for the upcoming year of 2022. I meant to get this video done actually a lot earlier, but then I got sick for a little over a week, and I'm still recovering a little bit, so if I sound a little bit funky, it's because things aren't totally normal in my sinuses yet, but I feel fine, so I wanted to not put this video off any longer and go ahead and talk about my goals for this year. I mentioned this in my video last year as well, but on my blog I used to set a lot more specific kind of style goals, but I don't really do that anymore because I found that the January me is not the same as the December me. In a certain year, I change and grow and my interests and motivations change as well. So I've kind of figured out that for me it's best to kind of set general, kind of more of a vision kind of goal, to say like, here's where I'm at now, here's where I currently envision myself being by the end of the year. But if those things kind of shift or don't happen, it doesn't really matter. This is just kind of me saying things that I kind of hope will happen this year, and we'll see if they actually end up happening. So firstly, starting off with Korean, some of my goals are very similar to my goals last year, and some of them are a little bit different. But the first goal is one of the same ones that I had last year, and that is just to read a lot and to read kind of a wide variety of things. I definitely got a lot of reading done this year, maybe not as much as I had envisioned, especially since a lot of the reading I did was kind of grouped together in like 1 week's time, and then a little bit scattered throughout the rest of the year. But I would like to continue this goal into the future and continue to read more. This could look like reading articles online, reading webtoons, reading novels, reading nonfiction stuff, just, getting a lot of exposure to written Korean, just for the sake of both increasing my reading speed, but also just, getting kind of that upper C2 kind of level vocabulary in lots of different fields, just to kind of help improve the kind of both depth and breadth of my vocabulary knowledge. And that also kind of applies to the content that I consume, either like videos or podcasts. I'd also like to expand the variety that I listen to there as well. Listen to more news, more podcasts, not just always the same dramas and variety shows. So that was the input side. As far as output goes, this past year I finally made some friends in America who I most of the time speak to in Korean. And this year I would like to do more intentional speaking to all of my Korean friends, obviously those that I already speak to mostly in Korean, but also the ones that I kind of mostly do English as well. I'd like to intentionally speak more in Korean to my Korean friends and just create more opportunities for me to practice my speaking. My speaking is not at a bad level right now. I can express most of the things that I'd like to say, but I would like to have more practice just to become even more natural at expressing myself. And that kind of goes along with my final goal for Korean, which is just to kind of continue on the journey to becoming more myself in Korean. I could probably talk in a whole video or a whole series of videos about this, but just kind of to say it very simply, although I would say that I'm fluent in Korean and I'm pretty good at expressing myself in a lot of ways, my personality still does not 100% shine through in Korean. So my full self that I am in English, it's not always easy for me to fully express myself in Korean in all the same ways. So basically, through that intentional speaking with my friends, I'd like to try to become more fully myself in Korean and be able to express myself according to my natural personality more. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but that's a goal that I have, and I know what I mean, and that's the most important thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Korean. I want to get more variety of things coming into me in both reading and like content. And then also I'd like to speak more to my friends and become more of myself when I am speaking. Moving on to Mandarin Chinese, I'm actually pretty happy with how this language is progressing. Last year, my goal was to kind of get back into Chinese and Japanese, and I was actually quite surprised with how much I actually ended up getting done in those languages. I've had that goal for a very long time. And last year was the first year that I felt like I really actually got back into those languages, and that those languages are ones that I'm actively working on improving. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with the way things are going right now in Chinese. So my goal is kind of just to continue doing what I'm doing, which isn't that much, to be honest. It's not like I'm really speeding forward in the language, but I'm okay with that. The past couple months, I've really been using Do Chinese, the app, quite a bit, just the free version. And I want to continue to use that to, read things. It's nice because you can read a wide variety of things, from like famous historical stories to just like conversations between two people nowadays, or like how to write an essay in this, or how Chinese fans have their own economy, just like a wide variety of random things. So yeah, I've enjoyed using that just to kind of brush up on my character knowledge. And I have noticed that even though I'm not like seriously studying really through the app, just by kind of reading an article every day, I've noticed my character like recognition and knowledge go up quite a bit. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then also I'm still watching quite a bit of Chinese dramas, despite the fact that they're pretty cheesy most of the time and the dubbing isn't always awesome. I don't know, they're just fun to have on in the background, so I'm gonna continue to keep watching those Chinese dramas. And I can also tell that those dramas are really adding to my just overall comprehension. I noticed that after I watch a drama for a little while, I'll be reacting to the drama in Chinese. I'll be saying things to myself in Chinese, so I can really tell that my overall like understanding and knowledge of the language kind of feels more like cemented. It feels like my foundation has gotten a lot better and it's a lot more natural to me. So I'm gonna continue to do that. And depending on where I am feeling at the end of the year, maybe I'll try to do something more ambitious, like actually like read a short novel or something like that. Again, I'm not really setting like a specific goal here, but you know, if things continue to progress the way they are, I can see myself doing something a little more ambitious. So who knows? Overall, the goal is just to keep it up. I like the way things are going. I want them to keep going this way. Hopefully they will. And then finally, Japanese. Like I said, I was quite surprised and happy that I was able to get back into Japanese so much and pretty well this year. I definitely have improved quite a bit. I really started getting back into Japanese the end of last year, but still, comparing where I was at the end of last year compared to right now, I understand so much more. My vocabulary is still very, 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 very weak, very beginner level, but I'm surprised when I, open up an Easy News article or an article on Satori Reader at how much I understand and how much I'm able to do at this stage with the very low level of vocabulary that I have. And again, very similarly with Chinese, my goal is kind of just to continue with what I've been doing. It's been going pretty well, so I kind of want to just keep at it. I've been happy recently using the Irodori textbook online to study, and then also I have been using Satori Reader since I have a very discounted subscription for 3 months. After I finish those things, I'm not sure what I'll be doing as far as explicit studying goes. I guess I'll just have to figure it out once I get there, but I've also been happy. The last month I've been watching quite a bit more Japanese content, so hopefully I can also continue to do that throughout the year to help build that foundational understanding and knowledge as well. Once I run out of the free Irodori stuff, I might eventually get a Japanese textbook. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen this year. I'm not sure if it's ever going to happen, but it's a possibility and it might be this year, who knows. If I do get a textbook, it would probably end up being either an all Japanese textbook or a Japanese textbook intended for Korean learners of Japanese, just because those languages' grammar are very similar, so I feel like it'd be easier actually to understand like the comparisons they make there rather than to like English, which is so different. But yeah, the goal is basically to kind of just keep going with how things are going. Honestly, I didn't even spend that much time studying Japanese in the past year. It was kind of just like here and there I got kind of into it. So considering how much I improved just doing things here or there, I'm kind of just hoping that I can do that again the next year. I'm hoping I can do it a little more consistently and then improve, who knows how much by the end of the year. So yeah, those are my goals across the like specific languages that I'm learning. And then kind of just generally, I have a couple of just, I guess, life goals, but like specifically related to language learning. The first one is just to be more consistent. I've always believed that it's very important to kind of just study what you feel like studying when you want to study it, because that's what motivation is. Because if you're not having fun while studying and doing the things that you want to study, then why are you even doing it in the first place, I guess? So I'm not saying I want to be like, I want to do Korean every single day or Chinese every single day or Japanese every single day. But I would like to just be a little bit more consistent just across the board. I'm sure there'll be some months where I'm more into Japanese, or I'm more into Korean, or I'm more into Chinese, or I'm just kind of not as into any of them, and that's totally okay. I'm just hoping that compared to like this past year, I can be a little bit more consistent than I was. Reading is actually a pretty good example of this. Last year, I read a couple of books actually in Korean, but if you go back and look, it was actually mostly all in just 1 week. And I made a video about it. You can go watch it. And while that's totally fine, and it was kind of a fun experiment and a fun challenge for myself, beyond that week, I didn't do that much reading, kind of big picture. So the goal is, again, still to follow what I feel like doing when I feel like doing it, but hopefully just to be a little more intentional and do things just a little more often than not doing them. The second thing is that I want to make more videos here. Again, kind of going to consistency, I'm very inconsistent. And I've noticed that these videos are kind of fun for me to make, and also they motivate me to do more language-wise. So I feel like that's a win-win situation. So I'm hoping to make more videos and just be a little more consistent in making these videos as well. And then finally, I would like to kind of do better at keeping track of my studying. I've just noticed that when I do that, not only is it just fun to kind of look back and see what you've done on certain days and how much you've accomplished, but it also is, again, motivating to see, how far you've come and to imagine how far you can go the next day or the next month or whatever. So yeah, those are my overall goals for language learning for 2022. Basically, the bottom line is just keep doing what I've been doing for most of the languages. So yeah, hopefully 2022 will be a great year, just generally, as well as language learning for me and everyone watching. And I'm excited to look back at this video at the end of the year to see how much I've accomplished in this year. Happy belated New Year, and I will see you guys next time. 안녕.